Hello, my name is Matt Lathrop, and I'll be your instructor this semester for Math 141, Section 91. Since it's an online course, we won't be meeting face-to-face unless you stop in for my office hours, but I did want to introduce myself, talk a little bit about the class, but also reassure you that I'll be in touch with you via email, class announcements, discussion boards, so we'll have the opportunity to interact, and you'll be able to reach out, ask me questions anytime you're confused with anything regarding the class or have any general questions. What we're looking at here is the landing page that will open up every time you access our course in MyLabs Plus. You'll see the announcements listed here. That's a good idea just to check those regularly. That information will also come to you via email, but just to make sure you're up to date with anything that's getting announced about the course. If you click on the More link here, you'll see the rest of that information in our first announcement, or click All Announcements, and that will take you to a list of all current and past announcements. Also on this page, if you scroll down, you'll see a box over here for your overall score. So throughout the semester, as you complete assignments, your overall score will constantly be getting updated. So you'll see that number change, hopefully continually go up. But as you complete homework assignments, when exam grades get entered, those sorts of things, this number will automatically be updated to let you know your current standing in the course. You'll also be able to view that number in the gradebook, but every time you log in, you can at least take a glance at that to see how you're doing in the course overall. A graph here for submission progress will also fill out as you complete assignments, showing you how you're performing in the different types of assignments. So what your homework scores look like, quiz scores look like, and so on. So again, every time you log in, take a look at the information on the announcements page. If we move on to the Start Here page, this is where you actually found this video. Once you finish watching it, you'll also want to watch this video on how to navigate the course, how to check your progress and get help, and campus safety. Again, just adding to the orientation of the course. For right now, what we want to do is focus on the course syllabus, just to talk about some of the expectations, what we're going to be doing essentially week to week throughout the semester. We're going to skim through most of this information, but I would encourage you to go ahead and read through all of it, especially the pieces that we gloss over. The first part to draw your attention to, though, would be my contact information, including my office hours. You're welcome to email me at any time of day. My goal will always be to get back to you within 24 hours, although keep in mind that over the weekend it may take a little bit longer for a reply. But please feel free to get in contact with me via email or stop in my office hours with any questions you may have. In terms of the catalog description, I'll leave that for you to read, but we do want to focus on the required materials here. The one thing you'll need to purchase for this course is an access code for MyLabs Plus. You can either purchase that through Heartland's bookstore, or when you go to complete your first homework assignment, you'll be prompted to enter an access code, and then you can purchase that through this website. Online access to StatCrunch, which is some statistical software, will also be included with that access code, so nothing additional that you need to purchase there, though you may want to have a basic or scientific calculator handy. If you want a physical copy of the textbook, the information is provided here. An electronic text is included with the course, so you have access to that along with the homework system and everything else. So you really only need to buy this book if you prefer to have a physical copy of a textbook to read. We'll skip ahead through some of the information here on learning outcomes, but again, I would encourage you to take a look at those. And we're going to talk about first the use of technology in this course. So since this is an online course, you should already be expecting that this will be a course that relies pretty heavily on technology. But in addition, we're going to be completing all of our assignments through MyLabs Plus and making use of that StatCrunch software. So technology is going to be a critical component to this course, which means you need to have a good plan in place for how you will regularly have access to a computer with internet access. And not just that, but have a backup plan. So if your personal computer crashes, if your internet connection at home goes out, what will be your backup plan for those sorts of scenarios? The first one I can recommend would be making use of the computer lab on Heartland's campus in the library, but other options would include going to a friend's house, a family member's house, some sort of backup plan to make sure you can still get assignments completed. It's important to note that lack of access to or malfunctioning technology may not be an acceptable excuse for late submissions. You need to have those plans in place and hopefully be completing assignments ahead of time so that if an issue does pop up, you have a little bit of a cushion to still get things taken care of the next day. We won't be meeting face-to-face, but your attendance, your virtual attendance, and participation in discussions in this class will be important. So every week that we're not having an exam, a discussion post will be required. These will be testing your understanding of these concepts, but also specifically preparing you for the take-home portions of this class. Unlike previous math classes, this class is going to have a pretty significant writing component to it, and we'll see what that looks like as we progress. But you'll want to take a moment to read through some of this information and just be aware that those discussions will be required and factor in as a significant chunk of your grade. There are some circumstances under which you could be dropped or withdrawn from this course. Hopefully that won't be the issue, won't be the case for any of you. But any student who's not logged into our course and completed at least one assignment prior to the drop date will be dropped from the course. And then anytime at midterm, if any of these conditions have been met, you could be withdrawn at midterm. So if you fail to access the course or complete any assignments for 2 weeks without appropriate notice, if you fail to participate fully in more than 2 of those module discussions, or if you've not meaningfully attempted at least 70% of the assignments due by midterm. If you're logging in regularly, staying on top of assignments, none of those are going to be issues. If anything does pop up and you need an extended absence from the course or an extended period of time will pop up where you may not be logging in, you'll just want to make sure that you're contacting me so that we can discuss that ahead of time if possible. Online homework will be completed through MyLabs Plus. You'll have an unlimited number of attempts at every homework problem, meaning you should be able to get 100% on every homework assignment as long as you're completing it prior to the due date. If something comes up and you're unable to complete an homework assignment by the due date, you can still work those assignments for past due credit, but a 10% penalty will be applied. So after the due date, you could still earn up to 90%, but not beyond that. The questions that you encounter in your homework questions will be reflected in the weekly quizzes. So every week we're not having an exam, there will be homework followed by a quiz. Practice quizzes will be available to help you prepare. So you can take those as many times as you want without penalty to review and practice the content. Additionally, if you earn a 95% or better on all of that week's homework assignments, you'll unlock a second attempt at the quiz. So giving you an opportunity to improve your score if the first attempt didn't go as well as you would have liked. Or if it did already go well, take a shot at maybe doing even better. You'll always get to keep the better of those 2 scores, so even if the second attempt doesn't work out as well, you'll still get to keep the higher of those 2 scores. Quizzes can be taken at home. Homework assignments can be completed at home. However, when you are working on quizzes, I would encourage you to treat them as though you were taking an exam, since their goal is to prepare you for the exams that will eventually pop up. So try to complete those without relying on your book, any notes, or other resources. Sort of emulate a testing environment. As I mentioned before, our exams will have a take-home component, but also a proctored component. For the proctored portion, you'll need to come to Heartland's campus to one of the testing centers, either at the Normal campus, Lincoln campus, or Pontiac campus. There will be a practice test available, again similar to the practice quizzes, to help you review and prepare, and then you'll have just one attempt at the proctored portion of the exam. The second part of the exam, which will be that take-home essay-based portion, will be an essay-based or written exam, still completed through MyLabs Plus, but you'll be able to complete that from home, with the idea being that you would perhaps work on a problem, save your work, come back to it after you take some time to think about it, or if you get stuck somewhere in there. So the idea is those aren't necessarily designed to be completed in one sitting so much as designed for you to come back and work a little bit throughout the week as you maybe get stuck and think through some of the problems that you're being posed. At the end of the semester, you'll have the opportunity to improve some low exam scores. There are 2 ways you can do this. The final exam will also consist of a proctored and take-home portion. The proctored portion of the final exam can replace your lowest proctored exam score, and your final take-home exam can replace your lowest take-home exam. So if you have 1 or 2 of those exam scores that don't go as well as you would have liked, you'll have the opportunity towards the end of the semester to hopefully replace some low scores and bump your grade up. The final itself is also required and counts as 20% of your overall score. We've got a quick table here just summarizing the exam dates. So just to give you an idea of when the different exams will be hitting. Each exam will be open for just over a week. So for instance, exam 1 will open up on February 5th and be due February 12th, giving you time that week to review, practice, and then come to campus for that proctored portion. We've got the breakdown of the grading structure. So homework assignments will be worth 10%. Quizzes and your discussion posts will count as 10%. And then your regular exams plus the final will count as 80% of your overall grade once combined. There are some important dates to keep in mind, including the last day to drop, last day to withdraw, and of course spring break. There is the FERPA statement, which basically just says that in order to ensure I'm only communicating with you about your personal information about this course, I need you to contact me from your Heartland email account or contact me through the course shell. There will be a number of opportunities to do that, but one would be using this email tab over on the left-hand side. So emails need to come through the MyLabs Plus system or directly from your Heartland email account to make sure your personal information is being protected. And then the last thing to look at here will be the Spring 2019 weekly schedule. What you'll see is a consistent pattern of covering 3 weeks of content and then an exam over that material. So in exam weeks, there won't be any new material that we're introducing. You'll have that entire week to review and prepare for each of those 2 portions of the exam. We'll see that pattern continue then throughout the semester until we reach the final exam, which will be cumulative. So this is sort of a quick overview. Again, I would encourage you to read through all the information in the syllabus, make sure you're familiar with what's going to be expected of you this semester. And again, if at any time you have any questions and want to contact me, my office hour information is located up here, as well as my email address, which will typically be the best way to get a hold of me, just because if I'm off campus already, I'll typically be checking email throughout the day. But I hope this turns out to be a really good semester for all of us. I look forward to talking with each of you through the discussion boards and via email. And just let me know if you run into any questions or problems. Good luck.